Welcome to Podkey Daily News, where today's market stress meets sharp political and global shifts. Big tech is spending so hard on AI that cash flow is cracking. Oil just flashed a fresh inflation warning, and politics is becoming a premium machine-readable trading signal. Those are the stories with the fastest real-world consequences right now. Alphabet posted negative free cash flow for the first time since its IPO, even with double-digit revenue growth, because AI infrastructure spending is burning cash faster than the business is replenishing it. That shocked investors, knocked Google shares down about 7.8%, and turned the focus from growth to proof. Markets want a roadmap showing how the extra money converts into earnings, not just bigger data centers. The pressure point was capex. Analysts had treated $200 billion as an informal line the sector should not cross, and Alphabet guided up to about $205 billion. The practical takeaway is simple. AI spending is no longer being judged as a strategic virtue on its own. Investors are now demanding timing, returns, and operating leverage. Tesla landed in the same penalty box. It missed on earnings, posted negative free cash flow for the first time in 2 years, and the stock fell about 18%. Part of that reaction is about confidence in near-term growth after Elon Musk pushed back major projects including robotaxi, Optimus, and the electric semi. Delays matter more when cash generation is weakening. At SpaceX, the risk is different but related. An insider lockup expiration next month could nearly double the number of shares available to trade, creating a supply shock that has already pushed the private valuation down more than 7% this week. Starship delays are adding to that pressure. Investors want the company to move from repeated testing to revenue-generating flights if it wants to justify a huge valuation and heavy capital demands. High-frequency trading firms are reportedly paying up to $100,000 a month for the Truth API, which delivers President Trump's posts instantly. At least 5 firms have signed up, using keyword scanning and AI agents to judge market impact and trade on headlines milliseconds ahead of rivals. Why it matters is less about one platform and more about the model. Political communication is being packaged as a premium executable data feed, which tightens the link between public messaging, market volatility, and algorithmic speed advantages. Brent crude jumped nearly 10% after conflict in the Middle East, briefly moved through the $100 a barrel area, and was around 96 to 78 at one point. That fed straight into inflation worries. Treasury yields rose as traders pared back expectations for near-term rate cuts, and the broader market sold off while energy stocks outperformed. What to watch next is whether oil stays elevated long enough to affect central bank assumptions, transport costs, and consumer inflation expectations. A short spike is noise. A sticky one changes pricing across the economy. In Berlin, a van drove into crowds at Christopher Street Day near the Brandenburg Gate, killing 1 person and injuring at least 16. The event was canceled and police launched a manhunt, saying the suspect had links to Islamist circles. Authorities also pointed to a hard reality. Germany keeps confronting. Vehicle attacks are difficult to prevent completely in open urban spaces, especially in areas like the Tiergarten, where multiple major roads converge. Separately, in the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukrainian strikes are increasingly hitting commercial logistics hubs inside Russia. Attacks on Wildberries warehouses reportedly destroyed around $150,000 in goods and mark roughly the 10th strike on the country's biggest online retailer. Analysts say these attacks blur the line between civilian and dual-use targets. Ukraine says some sites hold navigation and drone components, but the pattern raises legal and strategic questions and brings the war more directly into Russian civilian economic life. In India, a massive entrance exam paper leak forced more than 2 million candidates to retake tests and triggered a protest movement that quickly spread across social lines. Students and aspiring doctors turned what began as smaller demonstrations into sustained nationwide mobilization, and under-pressure Education Minister Harminder Pradhan resigned on X. The broader significance is political as much as educational. Analysts say the protests cut across caste, class, religion, and language in a way participants see as a rare democratic rebuke and a possible long-term civic shift. Record heat and wind are driving major wildfires across southwest France and western Spain, with roughly 250,000 people told to evacuate near Bordeaux and west of Madrid. Several blazes have merged, including fires west of Madrid and a third in Avila that could join them, and governments have asked for EU aerial firefighting support. Officials are warning that limited rain and another heat wave could keep the fires difficult to control, which makes this not just a local disaster story, but another test of Europe's summer fire resilience. At the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner, President Trump delivered an hour-long speech packed with one-liners, many of them landing in a room that stayed visibly unmoved. He also mingled with journalists and outlets he has recently sued, including the Wall Street Journal, which underscored the larger issue hanging over the event. Commentators say this goes beyond the old hostile president playbook. Lawsuits and personal attacks are being used as part of a broader pressure campaign against the press, and the dinner became a measure of how difficult that is proving for press institutions to answer. In Nigeria, a Lagos university expelled 2 students and suspended 4 others over alleged same-sex relationships, reflecting a legal environment where anti-LGBT laws can carry prison terms of up to 14 years. Activists say campus punishments like this mirror a wider tightening across parts of Africa, including Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Niger, with growing concern about both legal and social consequences. A very different story is unfolding in Israel and the West Bank, where volunteer drivers continue transporting Palestinian patients to Israeli hospitals through checkpoints and permit obstacles. Roughly a third of medical permit applications are denied, so these drivers are filling a critical gap in access to care during wartime strain and bureaucratic delay. The Knicks ended a 53-year title drought, and Karl Anthony Towns pointed to OG Anunoby's inbound tip-in, Mike Brown's tactical shift, and his own dedication to his late mother as defining parts of the run. In Minnesota, the so-called Grandparents' Happy Hour law takes effect August 1, letting assisted living residents enjoy a glass of wine on site after an 82-year-old activist pushed the change through. And in Greece, Mount Olympus is being put forward for UNESCO World Heritage status, with local officials hoping the designation will both protect the site and strengthen tourism. That's the brief for now. You've been listening to Podkey Daily News. The themes to keep watching are cash burn, inflation pressure, and how fast politics keeps turning into market structure. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.